What's up, everybody? Merissa V. Grayson here. For those of you who do not know me, I am Merissa V. Grayson. I am a child custody and family law attorney, as well as a mediator and co-parent coach, also known as America's Blended Family Expert. And you are watching Merissa V TV, where we talk about all things blended family, law, and whatever else comes to mind. So today, I wanted to come on and talk to my fellas. Now, before I start talking, I want to remind you guys that I'm known as being a father's rights advocate. That is very important because by the time this video is over, some of y'all are going to be mad at me. And I don't want to hear all in the comments about how I am a feminist and I'm a feminazi and I only take up for moms and all of that, because that's typically what happens. So I just want to remind you of that. Mothers are constantly getting on to me, telling me I'm too hard on them and that I only support fathers. And though that's not the case, I understand where they're coming from. So anywho, fellas, my problem is that constantly I receive phone calls and speak to dads who are claiming that their children's mom is keeping them from their children, right? They're not letting them see their kids, they're alienating them from their kids, etc., etc. And I get it, because it happens all the time, all across the world. What I don't get, and what is very hard for me to swallow, is that when I ask, well, what are you doing about that? On about 50% of the time, I'd say that the response is essentially crickets, like you've done nothing. So it's hard for me to understand and accept the fact that you're saying that your child's mother is keeping you from your kids and not letting you see your kids when you haven't taken any steps to make sure that you can enforce or establish your rights. So when I ask, well, have you gone to court to enforce your court orders? Oh, well, we don't have any court orders. Well, have you gone to file to request some court orders? No, haven't done that. Well, why? And the most common excuse, and I'm going to call it that because that's what it is, the most common excuse that I receive is, oh, I don't feel like, or I don't want to deal with the court system. I don't want the court system all in my business, and I just don't want to have to go through court proceedings. I shouldn't need a court proceeding to tell me that I can see my kid, and I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. And I get it, but do you wanna? Do you not wanna? Or do you want to see your kids? Like, which one is it? Because you can't have it both ways. And while I understand that you don't want to go through the legal proceedings, the unfortunate reality is that fathers oftentimes have to fight harder to establish or enforce their rights. No, I don't think that's fair. No, I don't think that's the way it should be. Yes, I think the system needs some cleaning up so that that doesn't have to be the case. But until that happens, you got to do what you got to do. And I don't want to is not a valid excuse, especially when your children need you and your children likely want to have their father in their life. In most situations, kids don't want to be without their dad, right? So absent serious circumstances, and when I say serious, I mean there's abuse, domestic violence, emotional abuse, putting your children in danger, you're just mentally or physically unfit. Well, there's no such thing as physically unfit, but you know what I mean. Absent those types of circumstances, drug use, extreme drug use that, you can't control, alcoholism, all of these things that you're not willing to get help for. Absent those types of situations, most of the time, you will probably be granted some time with your children. So for you to sit back while your child's mother keeps your children from you, it's very, very frustrating, because there are fathers all across the world who are literally fighting tooth and nail to be able to see their kids. They're investing thousands of dollars on attorneys. They're investing thousands of hours of time studying how to fight for their kids if they can't afford an attorney or don't want to hire an attorney. They're going to the police officers and asking them to enforce their orders if their orders aren't being followed. So there are so many different things that you can do. And if you're not doing anything, then technically you're not being alienated. If you're not even trying, then technically your kids are not being kept from you. What's happening is that your child's mother says, no, you can't see your kids, and you're like, okay. And that's not cool. And it's definitely not cool for you to then follow that up with, oh, she's keeping me from my kids. So if this is you, if your children have been kept from you, if your child's mother is not allowing you to see your children or have a relationship with them, it's important that you do what you have to do to establish your court orders or to enforce your court orders. So if you do not have court orders in place, look up your legal system, look up the court requirements to establish child custody and visitation orders in your state. You probably will have to file a petition to establish paternity. Even if you signed a declaration of paternity, even if your name is on the birth certificate, in most states, you'll still have to file this petition so that you can establish it in the court. If you're going through a divorce, then you would request rights to have visitation or custody of your children through your divorce proceeding. If you do have a case open already, then you would just want to file a request for orders or a motion for orders or whatever it's called in your particular area, and ask the court to make orders for visitation and custody of your kids so that you can see them on the weekends or every other week or, every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever it is that you want in regards to your children. You have to request that specific orders can be made. And that way, once the orders are made, those orders can then be enforced. If you have orders that are already in place, in order to enforce them is really going to depend on your jurisdiction and your law enforcement agency around, but you have to just look into, what do I do to enforce my orders? In some states, in some counties, in some cities, you can literally just take your orders to the police station. If they won't turn over your kids, then the police will literally go and retrieve your children for you. In some states, you're required to go and do an enforcement action or a contempt motion in order to enforce your rights. But whatever it is, and though it may be frustrating, and though it may be time consuming, you have to take the steps to make sure that you enforce your rights or establish your rights if you have not already done so. I just want to see you win, fellas. Like, literally, everything that I'm saying is out of love, but you have to do what you have to do, even when you don't want to do it. So that's just my not so legal advice of the day. You can find me on YouTube. I'm Merissa V. Grayson. That's Merissa V. Grayson. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Google me. I'm pretty much everywhere. So anyhow, thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, have a good one.